The views expressed by the host of this podcast are not opinion-based or for entertainment purposes. They are actually facts and truth, no matter if other people like it or not. It is the Detroit sports truth, and nothing can ever stop it from being correct.
Hey there, Detroit sports fanatics, and welcome to episode 174 of the Detroit Sports Truth on Spreaker. On this episode, I'm going to catch all the Spreaker listeners up to speed on what's happening lately with the Lions, Red Wings, Pistons, Michigan State Spartans, Michigan Wolverines in college football, and the Tigers as well. Ed Smith and I will quickly preview college basketball in the Mitten tonight at midnight on Blog Talk Radio. First off, two hot topics involving the Detroit Lions.
Touchdown, Detroit Lions!
About a week or two ago, 12 days ago actually, that's 2 weeks ago now, the Lions have fired General Manager Martin Mayhew and President Tom Lewand. That was Martha Ford's decision. So Martha Ford hired Sheldon White to be the interim general manager for the rest of the season. I don't remember what the name of the guy was to be the interim president of football operations. But anyway, about this win now edict quote, and the fans deserve better, the fans deserve a winning team, all those quotes. I agree with two of them. The fans deserve better and the fans deserve a winning team. But a win now edict will have to wait until next season, because the Lions are 2-7 now after getting their win in Green Bay, which I'll get to in a second. The Lions still want their first overall draft pick in next year's NFL draft, the 2016 NFL draft, which still appears, in our eyes, to be Ole Miss Rebels defensive end junior Robert Nkemdiche. Nkemdiche came off an injury and made like a brutal tackle against the quarterback, a brutal sack. A tackle against a running back, an opposing running back. And he is still proving to be the number one draft pick at defensive end. But that's who, in our view, the Lions are still going for if they want to get a first overall draft pick in next year's NFL draft. To do that, the Lions have to tank. Which brings us to their upset win over the Green Bay Packers 18-16 at Lambeau Field yesterday. That was on Sunday, November 15th, 2015. That was Deer Day. But the Packers on the very first drive got a field goal. They settled for a field goal after Aaron Rodgers started throwing incomplete passes. And it stayed 3-0 until the Lions cashed in with a field goal of their own from Matt Prater as time expired in the second quarter to tie it up at 3 at halftime. And then the Lions received the ball. Amir Abdullah returned it 104 yards to Packer territory inside the 1-yard line, and the Lions were unable to score a touchdown until they got to third down. And they got their touchdown to take a 9-3 lead. Prater missing an extra point. And the Packers offense just kept stalling. Aaron Rodgers kept throwing incomplete passes, and the Packers were unable to draw pass interference penalties because the referees weren't doing their job. They weren't doing the Packers any favors. The Lions, along the way, to start the fourth quarter, kicked in a 51-yard field goal from Matt Prater to make it 12-3, an insurance field goal, I might add. But midway through the fourth quarter, at some point, the Packers finally scored their first touchdown to make it 12-10. But on the Lions' final drive of the game, Matthew Stafford and the offensive line took it all the way to the red zone again, capping thanks to a big yardage gain by Golden Tate, their wide receiver. Taking it 44 yards. and then the Lions would score their touchdown on a reception by Lance Moore. Matt Prater missed yet another extra point when the Lions and their fans thought they had this wrapped up with under 2 minutes to go. But Prater misses a second extra point, and the Packers have life. The Packers take it all the way with 2 timeouts left, and with 1 timeout left, they score their touchdown to cut the Lions' lead to 2, and the Packers go for 2. It looked like the catch was going to be made, but who is that guy again? It is defensive back Cresden Butler. Got to thank my own sports page for providing me that, because I posted that article on there. Sheldon White on signing Butler from DetroitLions.com. Thanks again. Give that credit. Once again, Sheldon White is the interim general manager. So Cresden Butler came up with a nice defensive play to break up the pass, and the Lions held on to their lead 18-16 with under a minute to go. And the Packers went for the onside kick. Calvin Johnson appeared to have it in his grasp, but Johnson, just Megatron of all people, couldn't hold on to it, and the Packers end up with it. And then they took it all the way to just barely to field goal range with 5 seconds left, setting up Mason Crosby. Jim Caldwell calls a timeout, and then Mason Crosby, on the final play of the game, absolutely mails that field goal. It looked like a very, very, very low line drive. As time expired, and the Lions obviously held on for an 18-16 victory over the Green Bay Packers for the first time at Lambeau Field for the first time since 1991. Lions and their fans and the media were very happy to end their 24-year drought at Lambeau Field. That's the good news about it, just this rivalry. But the bad part about it is it puts a dent in their chances of scoring their first overall draft pick in next year's NFL draft. Robert Condici. But does that ruin the Lions' chances of getting that first overall pick? No. Some may think that it does, but you got to look at the NFL standings. The Lions are in a 5-way tie at 2-7 for the second worst record in the NFL thus far this year. So we go to NFL.com. By the way, congratulations to Holly Holm on her victory over Ronda Rousey last Saturday night. Okay, here's how it goes. The Lions are tied with 4 other teams for the second worst overall record at 2-7. Those 4 teams are the Baltimore Ravens, the Tennessee Titans, the San Diego Chargers, and the Dallas Cowboys, of all teams. America's team. How could the Cowboys falter this season? And the team with the worst record right now at 2-8 thus far is the Cleveland Browns. Just a half game behind the Baltimore Ravens for third place in the AFC North Division. But if you sum it all up, the Lions, Ravens, Titans, Chargers, Cowboys, and Browns all have 2 wins each only. The Browns are expected to have a bye week sometime soon on their schedule, on their upcoming schedule, on their remaining schedule, that is. So it's still kind of a 6-way tie for last place in the entire NFL in the standings. So the Lions still have plenty of hope left to tank and get their first overall draft pick, Robert Nkemdiche. A few weeks ago, Ed Smith on Twitter at EdSmith313, a loyal contributor to the Detroit Sports Rag, my co-host for the Detroit Sports Truth on Blog Talk Radio, started a campaign, but hoped the Lions would go 0-5, which they did. He started a campaign, hashtag Streaky for Nkemdiche. And I went ahead and agreed with it. So I helped chip in, and I got the host of the Schuling Report, Ryan Schuling, to jump on board. I called in on his show 2 weeks ago and told them about the hashtag Streaky for Nkemdiche. But the more important thing than that about the Lions tanking is they needed to clean house. The front office should be cleaned again, especially including the owners. It starts from the top. The Fords should sell the Lions sometime. I just don't know when they will. But they will sometime in the future. Looking at the rest of the NFL scores before I get to the rest of the standings, The Buffalo Bills beat the New York Jets 22-17. The Jacksonville Jaguars prevailed over the Baltimore Ravens 22-20. The Miami Dolphins nipped the Philadelphia Eagles 20-19. The Pittsburgh Steelers took care of the Cleveland Browns 30-9. So the Browns dropped to 2-8. Not good for the Lions here in terms of the first overall draft pick. The Chicago Bears, they rumbled over the St. Louis Rams 37-13. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers got a nice victory over the Dallas Cowboys 10-6 in Florida. The Carolina Panthers beat the Tennessee Titans 27-10. The Washington Redskins scorched the New Orleans Saints 47-14 in D.C. The Minnesota Vikings beat the Oakland Raiders 30-14 in California. The Kansas City Chiefs beat the Denver Broncos 29-13. Broncos quarterback Peyton Manning suffered an inflamed fascia yesterday, so he may be at least week to week. The New England Patriots kicked in a game-winning field goal as time expired to beat the New York Giants 27-26 in the Meadowlands. And the Arizona Cardinals on Sunday Night Football closed the door on the Seattle Seahawks 39-32 northwest of the border. And finally, Monday Night Football at 8:30 on ESPN. The Houston Texans visit the undefeated Cincinnati Bengals. Mike Tirico and John Gruden with a call of the game. 8:30 on ESPN. So looking at the rest of the standings, the Patriots are 9-0. They lead the AFC East. The Bills and Jets are 5-4 in a tie for second place. The Dolphins are 4-5. The Bengals, as I just mentioned, undefeated, 8-0, leading the AFC North. The Steelers 6-4. The Ravens 2-7. The Browns 2-8. The Indianapolis Colts lead the AFC South at 4-5. Yeah, you heard that right. A division-leading team at 4-5. Probably won't go too far in the playoffs unless they start winning more games. Houston Texans 3-5, Jaguars 3-6, Titans 2-7, Broncos 7-2 after their loss. Kansas City Chiefs and Oakland Raiders 4-5. Lions take on the Raiders at Ford Field next Sunday. It is on the 22nd. I think the Raiders have like a slight chance of beating the Lions. Chargers 2-7. Looking at the NFC standings, Giants 5-5. Redskins and Eagles are at 4-5 in a tie for second place. Vikings jump over the Packers with a 7-2 record over a 6-3 record. Bears 4-5. Panthers at 9-0. Rounding out the NFC East and NFC North. NFC South, Carolina Panthers 9-0. Falcons 6-3. The Atlanta Falcons. The Bucks 4-5. Saints 4-6. Cardinals improved to 7-2 in the NFC, leading the NFC West. The Rams and Seahawks both dropped to 4-5 with their losses, and the San Francisco 49ers are 3-6. So I'm going to take a 5-minute break. And then I will be right back.
The views expressed by the host of this podcast are not opinion-based or for entertainment purposes. They are actually facts and truth, no matter if other people like it or not. It is the Detroit sports truth, and nothing can ever stop it from being correct.
And welcome back to the Detroit Sports Truth, episode 174 on Spreaker, also on iHeartRadio. I just talked about the Lions and them firing Martin Mayhew and Tom Lewand and upsetting the Green Bay Packers at Lambeau Field for the first time since December 21st, 1991. Final score of that game was 18-16. Just barely held on for that win, improving to 2-7. Still in a six-way tie for the least amount of wins in the entire league thus far, a tie for fifth place, a tie for the a 5-way tie for the second worst record in the league, to be exact, at 2-7 behind the Browns, who are 2-8. Now, let's get to the Red Wings. Last Tuesday night, the Red Wings were hosting the Washington Capitals and won 1-0. Before that game took place, Sergei Fedorov celebrated his induction into the Hall of Fame at Joe Louis Arena. With a ceremonial puck drop between captains Alexander Ovechkin and Henrik Zetterberg. And what really made us tick was Fox Sports Detroit not capturing it and instead going to a commercial break. I mean, what's going on here? Why would Fox Sports Detroit go to a commercial break and not capture Sergei Fedorov's ceremonial puck drop on live air?
You're crazy! You're crazy! You're crazy! Are you crazy?
That is just a slap in the face to Sergei Fedorov, one of the all-time great Red Wings players from the 90s to 2003.
Are you out of your mind?
There must be something that made Red Wings owner Mike Ilitch tick or something like that. But I know exactly what that something is. And I'm going to get to it right about now. It is an article written by the one and only Jeff Moss of Detroit Sports Rag. And I give him credit too. Go to DetroitSportsRag.com or DetroitSportsRag.net. Type in whichever last three letters you want. The article says Mike Ilitch's big FU to Sergei Fedorov behind the scenes. And it was published today at a little after midnight or something like that. But I'm going to read it out loud to you by Jeff Moss. There was only one regular season Red Wings game that Jeff Moss had to attend this year, and it was last Tuesday's tilt versus the Washington Capitals. And it had nothing to do with Jeff's desire to see Alex Ovechkin tire his own arms out by taking 15 shots on goal while dominating the Luke Glendening line. Nope. Moss wanted to be at JLA for the Wings organization's acknowledgement of Sergei Fedorov's 2015 Hall of Fame induction. When When it was announced over the summer that Olympia Entertainment would be honoring Sergei for his first ballot induction into the Shrine in Toronto, I was quite perturbed that Fedorov's career achievement would not be coupled with his number 91 being raised to the rafters of the JLA. Editor's note, this isn't going to be the fourth article on this site detailing why Fedorov's Wings jersey should be hanging alongside those of Howell, Lidstrom, Eisman, etc. If you want to read that again, click here. Click here, retire Sergei Fedorov's jersey immediately. But I was pacified for the time being by whatever ceremony was scheduled for last Tuesday, and by the knowledge that Ken Holland told a free agent signee that he could not wear number 91 in Detroit. Based on those two slices of information, I figured it was just a matter of time before Fedorov would be appropriately feted by the Ilitch family. Well, man, was I wrong. As I tweeted live from my seats last Tuesday, the Fedorov Hall of Fame ceremony was an embarrassment and a huge middle finger from the still bitter Mike Ilitch, who clearly hasn't gotten over Fedorov exiting Detroit 11 years ago. That was 2003. That's 12 years ago now. You think being diagnosed with cancer twice, Moss said the ceremony the Ilitch family bestowed on Fedorov last week was bare bones, but that would be way too generous, because the video of Fedorov dropping the first puck between Ovechkin and Henrik Zetterberg wasn't even shown on Fox Sports Detroit. Jeff Moss caught it on his Periscope at Jeff Moss DSR, same username as his Twitter handle at Jeff Moss DSR. And they were chanting, "Retire his jersey! Retire his jersey!" They chanted it like 4 to 6 times before signing off. Justin Spiro went with him. This is what Fedorov night amounted to. Number one, Fedorov dropping the puck before the game without a member of the Wings organization, Ilitch or otherwise, accompanying him on the ice. Number two, Ted Lindsay and Dino Cicerelli presenting Fedorov with a framed painting that might have cost $500. Number three, a short video montage, finally, buried during the third period, which was neither as emotional nor as long as the montage from Rocky IV, and it sure didn't include Hearts on Fire by John Cafferty. Meanwhile, Fedorov handled this personal affront and public humiliation with aplomb, obviously not wanting to say anything that would further enrage the vindictive Mike Ilitch. But here's the best part of the entire saga. The DSR has learned from two separate sources that as late as Monday, the Wings had absolutely nothing planned for Fedorov.
Are you out of your mind?
Absolutely nothing planned for Fedorov?
You're crazy! You're crazy! You're crazy! Are you crazy?
Neither did Fox Sports Detroit.
You're crazy? You're crazy! You're crazy! Are you crazy?
Man, it still enrages us. That the presentation of the artwork by Terrible Ted and Cicerelli wasn't decided until just hours before Tuesday's game, and it might never have occurred without Cicerelli's prodding. What a joke. Sitting in a seat, pissed as hell at the distasteful display he was witnessing, Moss texted a well-connected area sports writer about the disgusting ceremony. The sports writer's response: Fedorov's number will never be retired until after Mike Ilitch is dead.
Ah, shut up, you idiot. What? Oh.
Well, I guess I better delete this tweet from earlier this month. He tweeted at Jeff Moss DSR, "I'd like Mike Ilitch to live to 200 and in excellent health. Why would I be negative?" He quoted the tweet from Dorkin X Detroit at X Detroit 1 at Jeff Moss DSR. "I'm impressed there wasn't some negativity in that tweet, you big softy." Who are you calling Jeff Moss a softy?
Ah, shut up, you idiot. What? Oh.
Jeff Moss is never soft. You moron. That's the end of that article. So, that brings us to how today's Red Wings are playing right now. As of late, the offense is generating nothing. They are shooting the puck right at the goalie again, wide of the net, off the crossbar, off the post, and the side of the net. Their shots aren't being accurate enough. It's not bad luck. It's bad accuracy. For the defense, they're being too passive. Every time they give up a goal, I see clearly that they're not even paying attention to what the hell's going on. Sure, they blocked more shots standing up, obviously, but they still need to do a better job on that. The best way is to lie down on the ice every time a shot comes. They need to be a lot more aggressive and alert than that. And in goal, Peter Mrazek has outplayed Jimmy Howard statistically. Let's look at DetroitRedWings.com. And compare Mrazek and Jimmy Howard here. Mrazek has a .218 goals against average. Howard, .220. Mrazek has a 5-4-0 record. Howard, a 3-4-1 record. I don't think the Red Wings have ever been to a shootout. Mrazek has more saves than Jimmy Howard has, 307 to 219. Save percentage, Mrazek, 935 to 922. Goals against, however, Mrazek 20-17. That's the defense, though. Ice time in minutes, 550 to 463 in favor of Peter Mrazek. Mrazek has played 10 games, Jimmy Howard 8. So let me get out my calculator here. 550. $307 divided by 550. It's that's 558 divided by 10 is 0.056 rather. Mrazek has started 9 games, Howard 8. Mrazek with 1 assist, Howard none. Wait a minute. I'm calculating the wrong numbers here. How about 20 goals against for Mrazek in divided by 550. That's 0.036. Now Jimmy Howard, 17 divided by 463, 0.0367, so that's 0.037. Very close, but still Mrazek outplays him there. So that's anyway, Mrazek has outplayed Jimmy Howard, and back to the Red Wings offense. It doesn't take 3 to 5 games for them to get this all right, even if this was only high school JV hockey, junior varsity. They are starting too slow. They're not winning enough face-offs, and they're still not playing the full 60-plus minutes of hockey. We have an article from Ansar Khan of MLive.com headlining Red Wings strive for better shooting accuracy. And it shows some stats here. The Red Wings are ranked 25th in the NHL with 2.18 goals per game. They are dead last, 30th, with 25.3 shots per game on goal, and ranked first with 187 missed shots. Ranked 19th in the league with 187 missed shots. Tampa Bay is first with 256. So Jeff Blashill told Ansar Khan, quote, "Probably the number one thing is hitting the net. We've got to hit the net way more." We had lots of opportunities. We had 18 misses last Saturday night in Boston at a 3-1 loss. If I went back to the previous games, those were in the high teens as well. You can't miss the net that many times and expect to produce the offense you want to produce. Unquote. Gustav Nyquist quoted, "We had tons of chances to put the puck on net where we missed the net instead. We don't generate enough second and third chances because of that, because there's no rebound, because it's off the glass or off the boards. We just got to keep grinding here, and hopefully we get a game where some shots will go in and we can start feeling better about our offense." That 3-2 loss to San Jose Friday was a strong game for us, and then back to yesterday where we don't generate enough shots, 23. If we all knew it would be an easy fix, I think it's a series of different things. I think guys are maybe gripping their stick a little tighter. We all haven't scored in a while, and then you start thinking a little more, and it gets in your head a little more. Unquote. Brendan Smith is still out with illness. But Blashill quoted about the offense, about the defense actually. I think in terms of what we did well, quote, "I think in terms of what we did well that game, we did a really good job of our D being active coming out of our end, our D being active up in the play. I thought that was one of our better games with that. I think we built from there and done a real good job of our D being involved in the offense and the O zone, the offensive zone," unquote. Blashill was talking about last the one game on Halloween night in Ottawa, where the Red Wings held on for a 5-3 victory. And Jeff Moss just posted in his group, Detroit Sports Rag, that the link to his interview with Ryan Schuling on the Schuling Report on the Team 92 on FM in Lansing, WQTX. But the Wings play in Ottawa tonight at 7:30. Just about a half hour. I'm going to say this again one more time before I move on. Just don't shoot it at the goaltender, but don't shoot it wide either. Put it past him top shelf or 5-hole. Stick side or glove side is pretty hard, so you gotta try to confuse the goaltender quite a bit. Try to screen the goaltender as well, and tried deking as well on a breakaway. And for the defense, they need to lie down more, block more shots. Surprised they actually block more shots standing up. That's quite a skill in the National Hockey League. But it's been done millions of times before by all teams altogether. So with all that said, I'm going to move on to the Pistons. Red Wings play the Capitals at the Joe again Wednesday at 8 on NBC's Wednesday Night Rivalry on NBCSN with Mike Doc Emmerich, Eddie Olczyk, and Pierre McGuire. So, moving on to the Pistons.
And Rasheed from long range. Oh! Yes! 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 Yes!
Left sideline, 3, and he answers.
So the Pistons start out 3-0 and then 5-1, but then they fall to 5-5, losing 4 straight out west. They pick up 2 big wins in Phoenix and in Portland, and then they lose to the defending NBA champion Golden State Warriors. They fall flat against the Sacramento Kings. They lose a close one to the Los Angeles Clippers, and then their offense falls flat late in the fourth quarter. They lose 97-85 to the then 1-8 Lakers. Man. The Lakers. The Pistons are still shooting the ball poorly, as Stan Van Gundy, their head coach, pointed out, and starting slow, just like the Red Wings are. The Pistons need to re-improve their defense as well. They allowed 61 points in the first half in Sacramento to the Kings the past week. Then they fall flat in LA to the Clippers and the Lakers. Disgraceful and embarrassing. They keep allowing wide threes to go in the hoop. It's just irritating. It really irritates me. You can't allow threes.
Don't you think I know that?
It's that simple. You gotta guard the arc better. Andre Drummond and Reggie Jackson cannot carry the entire team. Others need to step up. Steve Blake, for example, keeps turning the ball over and not helping the team much. They need to keep him on the bench more just to reteach him the ropes and then get him ready again. They have a big game coming up tomorrow. That's Tuesday. As they return home to the Palace of Auburn Hills, it's against LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers. That game starts at 7:30 on Fox Sports Detroit and Detroit Sports 105.1 WMG-CFM in Ferndale. Ed just messaged me here. Talking about our show on Blog Talk Radio and the Wings game. So that's it for the Pistons. They need to shoot better and defend better. Defend the arc better. Now moving on to college football in the Mitten, starting with the Michigan State Spartans.
Touchdown, MSU!
couple weekends ago, the Spartans were upset by the Nebraska Cornhuskers on the road, 38-36 on November 7th. They allowed the referees to decide the game. The Big Ten referees are terrible. The Spartans already know that. The referees should be fired. There were many calls and non-calls going against MSU and Michigan as well. Get to the Wolverines about a sec after I'm done with the Spartans here. Spartans dropped to number 13 after that loss. That upset loss to the Huskers. Then they return home and struggle on offense, but still beat the Maryland Terrapins 24-7 in East Lansing on at Spartan Stadium. Ed just messaged me again about and asked if there was any recent Tigers news. I'll get to those in about a minute. But Spartans have a big game coming up in Columbus against the Ohio State Buckeyes. JT Barrett got arrested. Very big for the Spartans. Very painful break for the Buckeyes to take. Barrett got arrested for a DUI, I believe. But Spartans are in Columbus. Go to msuspartans.com for the entire schedule. Now to the Michigan Wolverines.
Touchdown, Michigan!
They just barely hold on in Minnesota against the Golden Gophers 29-26 after the Gophers thought they scored a game-winning touchdown with 17 seconds left. Then they drill Rutgers 49-16 at home. Rutgers stinks. Scarlet Knights do. And then they battle it out with a sleeper team in the Indiana Hoosiers in Bloomington and win in double overtime 48-41. That was one hell of a game. Slugfest, if you may. Just terrible defense overall.
Oh, man!
But Wolverines found yet another way to win. Jim Harbaugh, their head coach. J.U. Chesson has been one of their beasts. Jabril Peppers has been chipping in continuously. Jake Rudock was chosen as one of the best on the Dan Patrick Show this morning, on Monday morning, on Fox Sports Radio. You can check out Rudock's stats in the recap against Indiana. 440 yards passing. Ed and I will discuss that tonight at midnight. I want to check out the Wolverines' schedule first. By the way, you can follow Justin Spiro on Twitter at Darko State News. Also, follow Ryan Schuling on Twitter at Ryan Schuling and the Schuling Report on Twitter at Schuling Report. SHUILING. SCHUILING. By the way, the college basketball season has gotten underway. Michigan State with an 82-55 win over Florida Atlantic. Michigan cruising over Northern Michigan 70-44. CMU, my Chippewas, Central Michigan, with an 89-83 win over the Jacksonville State Gamecocks. I think the Chippewas are 2-0. Wolverines travel to Happy Valley and take on the Penn State Nittany Lions at noon on ABC. And then they're home against the Ohio State Buckeyes, the defending national champions, at noon. That's on ABC. That's gotta be. No TV. It shouldn't read TBA. It's got to be on ABC. It's the game, the rivalry game, the biggest rivalry in sports. The Michigan Wolverines and the Ohio State Buckeyes. Come on, mgoblue.com. Get it right. It's not that it doesn't take one. It only takes 1 second to correct it. Ed's asking for the relief pitchers' names. They are Brad Boxberger and Jake McGee. I'm going to get to the Tigers right about now.
That one is long gone.
The Tigers passed up on quite a few opportunities to get some good relief pitching in. They missed out on Craig Kimbrell, the former Atlanta Braves closing pitcher. He just recently got traded to the Boston Red Sox. And the San Diego Padres traded Joaquin Benoit to the Seattle Mariners. The Tigers and their fans wanted Benoit back, I think. And Brad Ausmus is still staying as their manager for the third and final year of his contract. Why can't they reconsider getting Manny Acta? Acta is a big believer in advanced sabermetrics. He knows how to he knows how to make the right decisions, and he knows how to take control of an entire baseball team. Make Ausmus a bench coach and hire Acta as a real manager. Or hire Pudge Rodriguez as a bench coach and hire Acta as a manager. Teach either one the ropes that way. Either Pudge or Ausmus that way. But the Tigers were, a few days ago, were interested in Rangers pitcher Yorman Gallardo. And now I hear they are interested in relief pitchers Brad Boxberger and Jake McGee from the Tampa Bay Rays. Ed and I will discuss that tonight at midnight. But I do have 5 questions, so I'm going to wrap this up with a 5-question segment.
It's time for 5 questions with Taylor the Gator Phillips.
All right, before I get to those, Ed is messaging me, well, not what he was suspecting. All about Brad Boxberger and Jake McGee. They have quite decent ERAs. Jake McGee is a 2-something ERA. Boxberger has a 3-something ERA. So, let's get on with this, shall we? Question number 1. Do the Lions still have a chance at the first overall draft pick in next year's NFL draft in 2016? Question number 2. Will the Red Wings make the playoffs? Seems like an early question. Will Sergei Fedorov's... question number 2. Will Sergei Fedorov's jersey number 91 be retired atop the rafters at either Joe Louis Arena or their new arena, the Detroit Events Center, which is expected to open September 2017? Question number 3. Will the Pistons improve after losing 4 straight? They should if they want to make the playoffs. They should have to. Number 4, should the Big Ten football referees be fired? And question number 5, who should the Tigers get to upgrade their bullpen? So, again, question number 1, do the Lions still have a chance at the first overall draft pick in the NFL draft in 2016? Number 2, will Sergei Fedorov's number 91 be retired atop the rafters at either JLA or the DEC, Detroit Events Center? Number 3, will the Pistons improve? And if so, when? Number 4, should the Big Ten football referees be fired? Number 5, who should the Tigers get to upgrade their bullpen? So, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. You can play this over and over again just to get the 5 questions down. Try to answer them as best you can. And if so, you write them down if you need to, and then you can comment on my episode 174 on the Detroit Sports Truth on Spreaker. And that's going to wrap it up on episode 174 of the Detroit Sports Truth on Spreaker. I'm Taylor Phillips. If there's anything you fans want more of or less of on my podcast, please let me know. TTFN, ta-ta for now.